readers, reviewers, countrymen, lend us your ears. Good evening and welcome everyone. This here is our March to be read video. What books we're looking forward to reading in March. Now firstly, before we get stuck into those books, we'd just quickly like to say a massive thank you to The Broken Bindings, some lovely booksellers who have sent us some amazing books. So we'll leave a link to their site and their Twitter in the description below. They've got some fantastic signed books, lots of pre-orders coming in, especially if you like fantasy and sci-fi as well. Thank you very much. Beautiful packaging. Look at that. Wonderful. And a nice bookmark as well. So thank you very much to The Broken Binding. Here is an unveiling of what was inside these packages.
So now we're unveiling these little packages inside. This can take me half an hour. Oh, I'm under pressure.
We should be used to opening gifts like this because of Mama's wrapping.
We should, but somehow it doesn't work like that.
No. There's no trade.
The world is not fair. Nearly done. It's lovely packaging.
Beautiful wrapping.
Which I'm dismembering, brutalising. I'm really sorry. I'm usually clean, but when it comes to packaging... There we go. The Brother Read by Adrian Selby.
So, to kick off our March to be read, I have Brother Read, as you've just seen, kindly sent by The Broken Binding. I am really looking forward to reading this by Adrian Selby. Our dad, John Gwynne, obviously, he loved The Winter Road, and I'm really looking forward to reading Brother Read. Thank you again to The Broken Binding for sending it to us. We'll let you know our thoughts. And my first book that I'll be reading in March, this is what peer pressure looks like. And it's in the shape of The Rage of Dragons.
Yes!
He's doing it. William has been talking about this for a long time about starting this series, and I don't know why I haven't picked it up sooner. Very similar to Kings of the Wild. It's a book that I knew that I was going to love. I don't know why I didn't pick it up sooner, so I'm going to just dive straight into those books now.
And I'm going to be looming over your shoulder whilst you're reading it.
No change there. But yeah, this is The Rage of Dragons by the excellent Evan Winter. William's passionate talk.
That is one word for
display of love for this series is also another thing that's inspired me to read this series. So I cannot wait. I will be reading The Rage of Dragons and also The Fires of Vengeance in March as well. I'm going to binge them both straight away. Hopefully I can get a hardback copy of The Rage of Dragons as well. I just know I'm going to love these and I cannot wait. So thank you, Will, for the beautiful recommendations. And I would also like just to quickly say that I don't read that much African-inspired fantasy. I read Scarlet Odyssey, which was a fantasy sci-fi inspired by the African societies and cultures, which was absolutely brilliant. I loved that. So I'm really looking forward to diving into these as well. They're very different to what I'm usually reading in the kind of the medieval Europe fantasy setting, which we all know and love. But also I'm really excited to check out something new and keeping it fresh. So
they're going to be different from anything you read before.
Trust me. Good. Excellent.
And so next on my March TBR is The Gospel of Loki by Joanne Harris.
So funny.
Yeah,
so
funny. I'm taking a recommendation of Ed's. He read The Gospel of Loki and you just said it was hilarious. We've got it on Audible, so that is the format I'll be reading it on this month. It's obviously, I love Norse mythology, and just to hear something from the perspective of Loki, it's obviously going to be funny, isn't it?
It's told in such a kind of tongue-in-cheek way, and it's just hilarious. Brilliant.
Yeah, I've heard so many people give high praise to it, and so Gospel of Loki, hopefully I get around to that in March.
And I will be finishing the Red Rising trilogy with the book called The Morning Star. And I cannot wait to read this. The end of Golden Sun was just absolutely blew my mind, phenomenal, and also so sad. So I cannot wait to start Morning Star, and I look forward to sharing all of my views about this on the channel. I've heard that this really rounds off the trilogy in a fantastic way and sets up the second trilogy really nicely. So I cannot wait to read this.
And on the topic of Red Rising, I will be listening to the first instalment of the series this month, also on Audible. So I'm following in Ed's footsteps here. He said that he enjoyed Red Rising, but not as much as he wished. But then the sequel, Golden Sun, I believe, you said that it was a huge step up, and hopefully Morning Stars as well. So Yeah, we'll both be reading some Pierce Brown this month.
We'll be Pierce Brown fanboys within a few weeks.
Also in my March to be read is The Pale Horseman. I'm actually halfway through already, so this is kind of treading it the way between February and March. I read the first instalment of the Saxon stories in February and obviously loved it. We love historical fiction. We love Uhtred of Bebbanburg.
Uhtred, son of Uhtred,
son of Uhtred.
son of Uhtred.
I'm going to stop you there. It could go on for a long, long time. We've watched the Netflix adaptation and I love it. One of those rare occasions, as I said in my previous video, that I watched the adaptation before the books, which hurt me a bit inside, but it doesn't take away from the joy of reading.
Okay. So I'm going to say The Pale Horseman is actually, I think, my favourite one of the Saxon stories. Even though when Uhtred is older and he's grumpier, he's excellent. I think just when the character doesn't have that much and they're going out to kind of earn their living, try and make a bit of money, and it's all kind of quite desperate, that kind of thing, and it's all very adventurous. I love it, and I think this is my favourite instalment of the Saxon stories, purely based on that.
Because it is still a bit of a coming of age story. I think he's 20 at the beginning of this, but he is still maturing into the man that he needs to become to be a leader and a force to be reckoned with. So you'll hear my thoughts at the end of this month. I love it so far. Of course I would. It's Uhtred.
And the next book I will be reading is The Historical Collections of a Citizen in London in the 15th Century. Beautiful title, very short, succinct. But
goes right into the memory.
Mocking aside, I'm hoping to write a short story about 15th century London and some young men learning how to fight in London. So hopefully we'll have some adventures there. This has been really, I've had this is great reading. If you want to find out anything about how people lived in London, all of the different societies within it, leading on lots of literature and poetry and chronicles actually written in the 15th century. So this will be my non-fiction read for the month that I'll be making lots of notes on, and I look forward to it.
And one of my reads of this month will be We Are the Dead, every time, which Mike Shackle is really kindly sending to me. So I'm going into this a bit blind. I don't 100% know what We Are the Dead is about, but I'm immediately engaged by the blurb, and also so many of the bloggers and reviewers that I really like reading have such high praise about We Are the Dead, from Sam, the book in hand, to Petrick, to David S. Meanderings, to James Tivendale and Neil's reviews. I could go on and on. There's just so many people who have loved We Are the Dead, and I don't know why I haven't gotten to this in the past year. It's one of those books that just seems to pass through my grasp, but I'm rectifying that mistake now.
I saw Mike Shackle actually at Golance Fest in 2019. That was the last con I went to, and he just was such a nice guy. Just came across as just the nicest, humblest guy. He's got some great artwork. If you look at him on Twitter, Mike Shackle, his artwork inside his books is absolutely amazing. His drawings when he does sign copies as well. So absolutely brilliant. He seems like such a nice guy. So that makes us even want to read it even more.
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you, Mike, if you're watching this, for sending We Are the Dead to me. I can't wait to get started.
And that takes us on over to what I'll be reading again in March. Not again, because I haven't actually read this yet, but I will be continuing the Lonesome Dove series. I'm reading it chronologically rather than the date it was written in. So I started off with Dead Man Walking,
Which, if I'm right, you really enjoyed.
I absolutely love that. Larry McMurtry's writing style is just so readable, and I just feel very passionate about reading his writing. Even though I've only read one book, I absolutely loved it. It floored me. His writing style, how he just only uses the word "said." If they're being, if these the kind of cowboys, the Texas Rangers are being shot by Comanche Native Americans, they still say "said." They don't scream or anything like that. But it's so funny. It's really dark as well. And I cannot wait to read Comanche Moon. I've heard that Larry McMurtry is a big inspiration for Joe Abercrombie's writing style as well. And if you like westerns, then Larry McMurtry is considered the king, the emperor, the duke, anything else. Bit of the Unforgiven reference there. But I cannot wait to start this. So it's got the Native American tribe, the Comanches in, as well as Gus and Cool, the Texas Rangers. I need to watch the TV show, I think from the 90s or the 80s, to be honest.
Well, I think, you've not even read it yet, and you've sold me, so I think I'm going to be reading that at some point.
It's sold me as well. When you read book one, you just know you'll love all of them. And the antagonist, Buffalo Hump, the Comanche leader, is meant to be in this book as well, and he's just so scary. It's rare that you actually read an antagonist that is really scary. Sometimes they feel quite superficial, don't they? But
yeah, definitely.
I was genuinely terrified for the main characters at what was actually going to happen to them when he gets his hands on them.
Yeah,
so,
I think you can definitely hate a character quite easily, but to actually be terrified.
He wasn't hateable, he was just really intense, and really scary. So, yeah, hats off to Larry McMurtry. I cannot wait to read this one.
And my next book is Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel, the Man Booker Prize winner. I think The Guardian said that this is the book of the century so far. So you can't really get higher praise than that, can you?
So it should be good. I think it will take off.
Just a bit. So it's set in the 16th century, and it's about political intrigue. But even though it is said to be beautifully written and centred around the political sphere, Hilary Mantel does not pull her punches. When this copy arrived, I read the prologue. It is brutal.
Is it?
I wasn't expecting it to be brutal. I thought... just everything I'd heard about it. No one had mentioned it. I don't know why. It is brutal. I don't know if that carries throughout, but not only is it meant to be written beautifully and is part of the literary fiction genre, I think it's going to be...
Is it in the Tudor court then?
So it's Tudor court, so Henry VIII, I think it's just as he wants to get a divorce. And that's going to cause some friction within the country.
I mean, he wasn't the kindest guy, was he?
I
presume there'll be lots of beheading.
I'm not sure you could call many people kind from the 16th
many
century.
kings,
Yeah, I think you have to adapt to circumstance, and because of the
That's
16th...
not adapting to circumstance, but that's just lopping the head off of people.
That is adapting to circumstance. The 16th century, I believe, was a very nasty place. While the clothes Ed loves.
Grimdark AF.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess I'll be able to comment more on that at the end of the month when I've hopefully read it. So next up, we want to say that we will hopefully be reading the first draft of the Blood Swan, the second instalment, which the working title at the moment is Dead Gods Rising.
We can't wait to read this.
We may be considered a bit biased being his son, but we do have...
He doesn't have to pay us.
No, we have the joy that we can get access to it as soon as it's done. So hopefully we'll get through that this month, and I have no doubt we're going to love it. The first instalment of the series, The Shadow of the Gods, comes out in May, so we're so lucky, aren't we? The first book's not even out yet, and we're going to have access to book 2. Yeah,
and we'll cover a lot more of The Shadow of the Gods, and also hopefully book 2 on the channel as well. We cannot wait to talk to everyone about both of those books and share our thoughts, and we just cannot wait to actually, when Shadow of the Gods actually gets out there in the world, so we can talk to more people about these characters, especially my favourite Orca. Now, some of you might have read this already, because some of you have got review copies, and you will know Orca. Stunning.
But now we'll stop showing off that we have early access.
So stop being smug.
So I'll get on to my next read of March, which is Whispers Underground by Ben Aronovich. This is the third instalment in the Rivers of London series, which is the urban fantasy investigation detective styled series with the central figure of Peter Grant. First instalments, really enjoyed them, read them in February. Ed read them in January. Really looking forward to carrying on with this.
You can overtake me.
Yes. I'm going to be listening to this on Audible, even though we've got a very nice hardback. This is our dad's copy. And I'm just really looking forward to carrying on with it. They're funny, engaging. They act kind of like standalones, but they link to the next one with the same cast of characters. And I've just really enjoyed them, and I think that it's just going to get better and better.
And I will be listening to The Journey of Crazy Horse on Audible. Now, this is written by Joseph Marshall, and I really cannot wait to listen to this. It sounds amazing. I don't know too much about Crazy Horse, but I'm really looking forward to just finding out about another member of the Native American Society. It'll also go along nicely with my Comanche Moon read along, where I'm kind of invested and sucked into that kind of time period and learning about those specific cultures. So I absolutely love listening to that kind of stuff on Audible as well, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I only know a bit about Crazy Horse, but I know that they're actually building a statue of him, which his face is actually being ingrained into a mountain.
Oh wow,
which is
that's amazing.
It's been work in progress for quite a few years.
Yeah,
but I think that's testament to what a great figure he was meant to have been.
I can't wait to find out all about him.
And another of my reads in March is going to be the second of the Tom Swan novellas, which is Tom Swan and the Head of St. George. This part is in Venice, which I think you loved, didn't you, when you read it? Yeah.
I love it when Christian writes about Italy. It just makes me really want to go there. And he obviously has such a passion for Italy as well. And the story within Venice, Tom Swan's character really is unveiled and he learns many new things, meets lots of new characters, and it's brilliant. I can't wait to see your thoughts.
As I said in our February Reads video, Ed's been talking about Tom Swan for about a year now, so I really feel like I know him, and he feels like a friend. And so I'm really enjoying his journey so far, and I can't wait to continue.
I will also be dipping into Tom Swan and finishing the Siege of Belgrade novella collection. This will be the 7th one, and I can't wait to see how Christian wraps up the final section, the final part of this novella. And then after that, hopefully I'll be going on into the 3rd collection of novellas by Christian Cameron. Hopefully there'll be another Tom Swan during, I think, the end of this year. I think I saw Christian say on Twitter, which I can't wait for as well. So yeah, cannot wait to carry on with Tom Swan. You all know I love him.
So we'll both let you know our thoughts on our latest Tom Swan expeditions at the end of the month.
Absolutely. And my final read of the month will be Joe Abercrombie's Best Served Cold. Now, this is the only Joe Abercrombie book that I haven't really gelled with as well. This was probably my least favourite of the standalones.
But you still really enjoyed it.
Well, saying it's a bad Joe Abercrombie book is like saying Fish Food is a bad Ben and Jerry's. Okay, it's not. It's still an amazing book, you know. But compared to the other ones, I just didn't like it as much, maybe because Monza is a bit more despicable than most characters. But now I know so much more about the first lore world, and I've really binged through it this last year, and also this year I've reread the first lore twice within the last year, actually.
I think that earns the title of obsessed.
Exactly. I'll probably prefer it this way around, knowing exactly what's going to be coming and knowing the characters just that extra layer. I've peeled off another layer. So yeah, I can't wait to read this, and this should be my last read of March.
Yeah, and I am currently listening to The Kingdom of Liars. I'm around halfway through, so I'll finish in the next couple of days. So it's The Kingdom of Liars by Nick Martell. Again. So I thought it was a bit of a slow start, but it's really picking up now. I'm really enjoying it. The central figure of Michael Kingman is really interesting. And of course, when I finish, I'll talk a bit more about it when we talk about our March reads in the month, at the end of the month. Also, alongside The Kingdom of Lies, I am going to read another book this month, but I'm going to let other people decide for me. So on the channel and also on my Twitter account, there is a poll where I leave it up to you to decide which book do you want me to read this month. There'll be 4 options, and you get to choose.
Thank you so much for watching our March to be read video. We think we've got a lot of great reads ahead of us. We've got some nice coverage here. We've got some westerns, some non-fiction, some fantasy, some sci-fi, some historical fiction.
A lot of diversity this month.
Absolutely, a lot of diversity, and we cannot wait to read all of them. And hopefully, book 2 of The Blood Swan by John Gwynne, aka Papa. So we cannot wait to read these. Anything to add, Will?
So I just want to say again, thank you to The Broken Binding for sending Brother Red to us. Also, Mike Shackle, who is sending We Are the Dead to me. And also we'll put links to the bloggers who I've really enjoyed reading their reviews that I've mentioned in this video, because a lot of them, it is what interests me in books. And so just a little thank you. We'll leave their descriptions in the link below.
Until we see you next time, truth and courage.
The Brothers Gwynne, truth and courage.